the truth profoundly. These are Germans here. Follow me to the message clear. Go Paul, Das, and Paul. They say Duane the writer leads the way. Time to madness, it's blight. Gotta wake up, see the light.
Okay, that's it. Very detailed. Yeah, so let's start at the beginning there, your closet. And so in the closet, things are hung up, all your shirts, socks, whatever, and you don't normally do that, right? So
correct. I do not normally. I usually keep my socks and pants, stuff like that, are usually kept on my dresser. I only ever keep my shirts specifically in the closet hanging, but this time everything was practically there.
yeah, well, and then all of a sudden, Eric comes out of the closet. Well, this is actually the fun part. Remember a long time ago, I said that, you know, with the experiences that you sometimes have with Eric, that you two would help each other. And that's the whole idea here. Now, it's interesting that, you know, last year, when I first met Eric, after a few meetings, I introduced him to Kevin. And so whatever they discussed or whatever took place, what have you, it didn't seem to go very far. I don't know. That was between them. But the idea here is that it's like the old saying. You see, some of the experiences go off. The old sayings like, Eric is coming out of the closet. And you know what that means, right? It's an old expression. Oh, he's coming out of the closet. You know what that means, right, Phil?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so there it is right there. He's coming out of the closet. So he's being given experiences too, to where he's, you know, he's getting past himself. Okay, so we have a lot of expressions, you know, and old sayings that we grow up with. Now, you're a little older than Eric. Eric doesn't know these things because he's a lot younger, so he, you know, he doesn't know a lot of these things. But a lot of the experiences go off the old sayings, and all of a sudden, here's Eric coming out of the closet, and all of a sudden, you kids go on this trip. Kind of like that movie with Keanu Reeves was in before he was in The Matrix. I know what, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was him and another young kid when he was real young, and they went on this far out trip. They went in a phone booth or something, and they went in other dimensions or something like that. I saw the movie, but I can't really remember it.
It's called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's what it was. Yeah, I remember that. It was a long time ago, 20, 30 years ago, probably.
Well, clearly you didn't remember it because you couldn't name it.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And so, yes, you're seeing something else here, Phil. And as you come back here, take a look at the experience. And as you're looking through the light now, your intuitive awareness, you'll start to get impressions from this. And this is where you get it from. You get it from the light. Otherwise, it's your mind. But this is a start for you. See, when people meditate or they do spiritual exercises or whatever, they start out with the secondary light, not the real light, because that's pure awareness. The secondary light is information. This is where it comes from the real universes into creation, and it becomes information, but it still appears as light. So people don't have the awareness to recognize the difference between the lights. They think that that is the light of God or angels or the heavens or whatever, which is fine. It's all fine. But it's really information, because you need the information first through your real awareness to provide it for the personal self to help you recognize yourself. These are the first steps. And so I went through this for a lot of years too, with Paul and Rebazar and the other guides, with the secondary light, because you first have to accumulate a lot of the secondary light. And this is where people on this so-called spiritual paths and whatever, they many times get hung up in that information and labels and ideas and thinking that, oh, I've reached the ultimate or whatever, but actually they just have the secondary light, which is information. They don't have the real awareness. They're not able to see into the real universes. That's something altogether indifferent, is different from the personal self. So most of it goes to the personal self. So you kids are, of course, are in the beginning stages of this, and this is fine. You're going through this process and a lot of extreme experiences. I know I had too. And so it becomes more subtle as you go along, as you become more aware, and this takes quite a while. Like the sun shining, it's very simple, and you learn to see it. So you're getting certain knowledge there that you're not aware of, and little by little through the experience, okay, it's kind of like a battery charging itself. Through the experience, eventually it's charged, but a little at a time. It comes through and it becomes charged. And so you're gaining the secondary light through these experiences, which is very, very good. Now, the individual sitting on the mushroom, I see that. And do you see a reference there, Phil? I want to see if you see it. Do you see a reference?
Yes, I do.
What is it? What do you see?
So, well, actually, to be honest with you, I take that back. I don't think I do.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't think I thought I did, but to be honest with you, just because I'm trying to be honest here, I don't think I do.
Okay. No, that's fine. It's not about that. It's about just if you do or not. I was just curious because it's your experience. Now, did you ever see the movie or the cartoon Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah, I seen the original.
Okay. First thing I see is Alice in Wonderland. See, again, you're on this far out experience, and remember the Cheshire Cat and etc. and all the funny things that are happening. If I remember, there were some mushrooms in that too. But again, here you have an individual sitting on the mushrooms, and how you describe him, well, it doesn't matter who it is, really. And so this individual is staring at you. It's probably Rebazar who's doing that. And the guides do that. They will give you these straight stares, is what they do. And basically that straight stare is all about recognition. And this takes a long time. It could take 1,000 years. See, in your own mind, you can't determine it. So I gave the number 50 years simply because that doesn't mean it's going to be 50 years. All right. It doesn't mean anything. It's just to give you an idea that it's going to take longer than you think. Because you see, I've seen so many people come and go over the years that I've done this almost my whole life, 60 years. And for the most part, they come for the knowledge and the information. And once they get the idea, it's like, oh, I get the idea of this. It's like this, or it's like that, or it's like a spiritual path, or Scientology, or Ekankar, or it's like the Dalai Lama. Or yeah, see, again, it's their mind. They don't get it at all. Because you have to see past your mind. You have to see past basically everything that's been presented in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Because what this world has learned so far in the consciousness is really nothing. There is a new nowness, and it doesn't matter what the history is. People look to the history like David Icke and all that. They're looking for ancient history, which has been written and rewritten by the reptilians, the shapeshifters, to make humans think that, oh, wow, they really got some knowledge here, which equals nothing. It's like the people waiting for Jesus, etc. No such thing. It's a made-up story. It's a sound good story. They've convinced people that just because some guy got nailed to a cross, that he took all their sins. Boy, that's a good story, isn't it? And people are so convinced about it, they'll kill each other and have wars between countries because of it, because of that idea. And it's just an idea, like a political speech. It's just words. Oh, but they wrote it down and they made a Bible. Wow, okay. Whatever, the 10 Commandments carved in rock and whatever, that's creation. Stuff's all made up. Creation is make-believe. But we need creation to go through because it helps us eventually wake up, because of the cause and effect agitation of it, helps us wake up to recognize our real awareness and our real positioning, which is an isness with all life, because all life already is. There is nothing that needs to be created with all life because it's all awareness. It's awareness, like the air you breathe. You don't need to create anything to breathe better. Yeah, they'd make different apparatuses and that so you can breathe, you know, like oxygen masks and whatever. That's so you can breathe. But to breathe better, you're already doing it. So you don't have to really create anything. But we've been in creation so long, we're thinking in terms of creation. So this is where people think creation is life itself. So getting back to the secondary light, you were going through this process with the secondary light, and the real you is getting the information, and you're in one of your other bodies. Doesn't matter which one, your astral, causal, mental, etheric body. Doesn't matter, they're all getting it from your real awareness, and your real awareness is being shown and taught by the real guides, and most of the time, the personal self has no idea as to what's taking place, so it filters through your intuitiveness little by little, and you might say it kind of sneaks past the mind, because as we've created our consciousness each lifetime and formed ourselves however we do with the collective consciousness that's formed here, let's just say on the earth, you've also produced what is called a sensor, okay, within yourself. And this sensor is actually a character that you've created. We've all created this sensor, and this sensor is like a filter. It filters certain experiences through, and certain ones it won't let through. Let me give you an example. Let's say you were raised with a religious family, very religious, very strict religion. So this sensor, you start developing this sensor against anything else, anything so-called evil, bad, or other information. The old idea of wolves in sheep clothing and whatever, watch out for this, watch out for that. So you develop this sensor like a security guard to where it doesn't let certain experiences in that you're having multidimensionally to the personal self. It acts as a block, is what it does. So that person that's developed that, and everybody develops their own sensor in their own way. It doesn't have to be religious. It could be anything. You know, a person that's very literalized, they just see things as black and white. In other words, you know, most literal people are rule lovers. In other words, the thugs and the corrupt individuals that create all the laws and whatever that restrict people, they become rule lovers and say, oh, you can't do that, this is right, you can't do that. In other words, don't be creative, don't take the risk, just obey the rules made by others. And so they develop their sensor in a particular way that, oh no, you cannot do that. You know, you cannot jaywalk across the street, you have to cross at the corner, when the signal's green. You see, they're very literal. They've created their sensor like that. And so what is happening is you are getting this secondary light. And see, you and Eric and others, etc., you've decided to take the risk to see more. And this is where Eric's coming out of the closet, okay, so to speak, you know, getting outside of himself and his little room in his head and going on this adventure, deciding to create these adventures together. You guys are out there doing it. And just like you said, you're kind of going along, okay, etc. And eventually it gradually will unfold little by little. You'll start to wake up little by little as to what's going on. And it takes a while, it takes a long time. You know, it's like, look at, you've been through high school, maybe you've been through some college. Let's say you want to be a doctor or professor. What do you got, 10 or 20 more years just to go through that? It takes a long time to wake up from when you were 1 and 2 years old, or how far back you can remember. Look at your gradual wake up into this world. You see, now you're exploring other dimensions and other places, etc., that you knew nothing about. And so that little personal mind sometimes is having a struggle figuring this out, and it's like, is this real? Am I crazy or whatever? You see, again, it implodes upon itself. You see it in the movies too. You know, they make people think in terms of, oh, you're hearing voices, so you must be nuts. So what does that really mean? You see, we're all multidimensional. We just don't recognize it or realize it. You're already there. Your other 4 bodies are operating, plus the real you, etc. And it's really learning to identify this. So we're going through creation to identify what all life is, but that's a big journey. You don't do it overnight. But most people are self-convinced. Oh, I already know what life is. Oh yeah, I took a class in biology, whatever. That's not life. That's just stuff happening in creation. You know, it's like taking an auto shop. Oh, you figured out how to tune up your car. Wow. Okay. And the body thing is the same thing, biology and whatever. These are just bodies. These are just machines. They're just fabricated stuff is all they are. It's your real awareness. So now you know that, you see? And so you're going through the process of gradually waking up to recognize the real you, more so than just the personal self. But at the same time, you got to deal with the personal self. That's the toughie. Yeah. And that's the challenge most people do not want to take on. They would rather just keep doing their routines, live their one-dimensional life here in this world of demise, because it's all imploding. And just like you saw, okay, all of a sudden you go to Mexico. I'm in Mexico. Isn't that interesting? And you see the American flag burning. Yeah, because the place is burning up. And look what Trump is doing. You see? So everybody's got a challenge. And actually, it's going to get worse before it gets better. But the thing is that this is a wake up for those people that see it. And most people won't, as usual. So they will go into future lifetimes. They will buy the BS of the controllers and just follow that, because, you know, the controllers are the ones that made the gods and the heavens and all this stuff like that. They've set it all up, your cyberspace and whatever. Now you got cyberspace heavens, you got cyberspace dimensions. You got a lot to go through to figure out all this friggin' mess. And does any of them mention awareness? No, they don't. They always talk about spiritual freedom, consciousness, all this stuff, all the encapsulated stuff, initiations, meditation, blah, 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 this and that, masters and gurus, kings and queens, whatever, okay? They always talk about whatever is a restriction, not your real awareness, because they don't know. They have no idea. Yeah, and that takes a lot to be able to see that. So you kids are on your adventure, a step at a time, and as you keep doing it, as you keep singing the new you, it will unfold. The new you is the real connection to your real awareness. And this is why most of the people in the world of spiritual paths don't use it, because they don't have the awareness to see that there is something more than creation itself. It has always been basically that the spiritual path, the highest is blank the mind, you're in nirvana, you're in the void. Well, that's the 6th level. They don't know about that. And they think that's, well, that's the end of life, that's all of it. No, you're just, the next step is the 7th level into the real universes, but you have to recognize that. But in the meantime, the guidance is there for you. And it's interesting, yeah, that's Rebazar sitting on the mushroom there, and he's the guide because you're like in Alice in Wonderland. You're going down the rabbit hole, you see? And all kinds of funny things happen. Look at the movie. It's all different. And when Alice goes down there, she's big, she's little, she's this, she's that, and she asks questions. And she asks questions of the Cheshire Cat. It's like, okay, well, where I want to go here or there, or which way is where, It depends upon where you want to go. So again, it's not solidified like this dimension, is it? And it's a little bit crazier, and there are places like that. And so again, it's kind of breaking up the patterns. And so as you take an interest there, eventually this will become reflective, and you'll have a comparison to start to see the difference between what makes sense, what is real, and what isn't real, what's made up, etc., just to fool you. And that's part of it too. It's all okay. There's no negating anything. You notice that many of the spiritual paths, you've got the devil on one side, you've got God on the other side. There's a negation going on there. Well, that's set up on purpose for you to be concerned about, oh, I want to be with God and Jesus, and I don't want the devil to get me, keep him away. Well, unconsciously, you hold on to that, and you are tap lined by them because they know you have a concern and a fear there, so you will carry that for lifetimes. It's really a psychological position here, and then they usually have things that you cannot do, like the old religions used to be like, you cannot eat meat on Friday. They've got these little things, or you're to pray once a week for 6 hours here and there, whatever the thing is. You see, they've got these little restrictions set up to keep your attention on something that doesn't matter, instead of the real freeness of your awareness. And it's not about freedom. They talk about spiritual freedom. There's no such thing in creation. It's all made up. You know what all life is like? It's like the sun shining. The all is. And
life is awareness.
And it's an endless sky of awareness. And there are no authorities. It's an awesome, ongoing, endless awareness. But for you to recognize that as it really is, in comparison to this personal self that you have to carry around with you, might say, because you're wearing it, is really what you are. Just like clothes, you're wearing the personal self. But eventually, when you have the recognition and you're able to position yourself with your real awareness where you don't need that anymore, then you don't need the 5 bodies, because they're all restriction. But in the meantime, it seems like a real thing. And yes, creation is its own reality. It really is. It's a simulator. And it is necessary. And it is its own reality, but it is not what all life is. No way at all. It's a speck of dust. But you're going through this process and adventure, and you and Eric, and you guys get to deal with each other in your own particular way, whether it's in your dragon bodies or if it's on something like this. But the real guys are watching you because you have an interest there, and they'll watch to see how far you'll go. You see, this lifetime. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Duane. I very much appreciate it.
No, I'm glad to explain it because, again, I see it very necessary, and I like to see people wake up, because this is what life is. We all help each other wake up is what we do. Yeah, it's so cool. But getting past the personal self of all the wants and things, etc. That's the huge challenge. Number one, first getting through the personal self. Yeah. And people will self-convince themselves, but it's not at all what you can imagine. It's just a lot more. But you're doing great, Bill. You kids are doing great. You're on your adventure. Thank you.
Thank you.
You crew, we gather round real guides, bring the truth profoundly. These are Germans here, for me to the message clear. Go Paul, dance and Paul, they say Duane The Great Writer. Leads the way, time to madness, it's blight. Gotta wake up, see the light. Don't think, just feel the vibe. The sun's are gonna cause it drive. Break the chains, the mental hold. Truth unfold, the storms are guide. A cosmic drive. Break the chains, the mental hold. The truth unfold, the story told. We strong, now unite front. Against the darkness we will hunt. Time to break the simulation spell with new you power. We are skibbity new you. Breaking free from the matrix. Dark forces lurking, reptilian scheme. That lies that control a twisted dream. You together we rise above, shattering the lies, spreading risk.